Hello, I'm V from the one and only Movies Hunter. So today we are diving into the world of Japanese cinema with Audition, a film that will leave you questioning what in the world you just watched. The film opens at a hospital where young Shigehiko is on a mission to make his dying mother smile with a get well soon card. But as fate would have it, she goes ahead and dies. Shigeharu, her devastated husband, is left to pick up the pieces as his son stands there, clueless about the whole life and death thing. Fast forward 7 years, and Shigehiko, now a 17-year-old matchmaker, is determined to find his dad a new wife. Because, being alone with your thoughts and memories is just too darn miserable. But Shigeharu, still deep in mourning, just can't seem to shake the ghost of his late wife. That is, until his secretary announces her engagement and Shigeharu is suddenly hit with a realization that he's been a total buzzkill at work. Later on, Shigeharu shares his problems with his friend Yoshikawa over drinks at the bar. He's torn between his son's urging and his own reservations about finding love again, but hey, at least he has standards and won't settle for just any old arranged marriage. And just when you thought this whole mess couldn't get any weirder, our friend here, Yoshikawa, has a brilliant idea. A mock audition for a romance film where a bunch of gorgeous women will compete for the role of Shigeharu's wife, because nothing screams romantic like pretending to audition for a movie while actually being evaluated as a potential spouse. And let's not forget the cherry on top, they were going to film the whole thing and call it a documentary. But there's more, because a bunch of beautiful, naive young women send in their resumes and pictures ready to showcase their talents for the camera. And of course, Shigeharu is immediately smitten with one of them, the lovely Asami Yamakaze. She is a former ballerina with emotional depth, so how original. Now, fast forward to the audition day, and in walks Asami in a stunning white ensemble. Yoshikawa bombards her with questions, and she handles them like a pro. Meanwhile, Shigeharu can't seem to peel his eyes away from her. And let's not forget the part where he is gushing over her essay about how giving up ballet was like dying. Because what woman doesn't love to hear a man obsess over her past tragedy? But there's a twist. Yoshikawa doesn't like her. Yeah, shocking. Shigeharu calls Asami and asks her to meet him the next day. Asami, being the mysterious and enigmatic creature she is, agrees with a flick of her hair and says, "Subscribe to Movies Hunter." Little does Shigeharu know, his best bud, Yoshikawa, has been digging up dirt on Asami, and what he's found is not exactly wholesome. But does Shigeharu listen to his wise friend? Of course not. He's blinded by Asami's stunning beauty, both inside and out. False references? Psh, who cares? He says with a shrug of his shoulders. Asami, the elusive siren, lives in an empty apartment, just waiting for the phone to ring. And when it finally does, it's the sound of her next conquest. Shigeharu is smitten and asks about her family, to which Asami coolly replies, "Oh, they just live in another province, no big deal." Shigeharu spun a little white lie to Asami, telling her that the movie audition was postponed indefinitely due to some highly questionable excuses. But Asami wasn't fazed by this, and she was simply thrilled to meet Shigeharu and declared that he was the only person in the world who truly understood her innermost thoughts and feelings. Meanwhile, Shigehiko couldn't help but notice the change in his dad's demeanor and was elated to see him happy for once. Shigeharu couldn't contain his excitement and spilled the beans to his son that he was going to pop the question on their next romantic rendezvous. To that end, Shigeharu whisked Asami away to a secluded seaside hotel for the weekend, hoping to make it a truly unforgettable occasion. When Shigeharu had the brilliant idea to dine out, Asami, ever the graceful one, flicks off the lamp with a flick of her wrist like a magician performing a magic trick, and just like that, she sheds her clothes faster than a snake sheds its skin, revealing her gorgeous nudity to the world, or just to Shigeharu. She lounges in the bed, inviting Shigeharu to join her in her very own private show, and as the cherry on top, she pulls back the covers and proudly displays her war wounds, aka the burn scars, as if they were badges of honor. She then reveals that she was abused when she was young. Asami then asks Shigeharu to love only her. Shigeharu promises her and then joins her in the bed to finally claim his prize. And the next morning, Shigeharu is jolted awake by the sound of his ringing phone. He answers it and is met with a cheerful voice of the hotel receptionist, informing him that the love of his life, Asami, has flown the coop. Shocked, he shares the news with Yoshikawa, who promptly tells him to move on and forget about her because clearly she cannot be trusted. But Shigeharu, being the hopeless romantic that he is, decides to go on a wild goose chase to find Asami and get the closure he so desperately craves. So off he goes to the ballet studio where Asami claimed to have trained for 12 years. And what does he find? An old man in a wheelchair who, upon Shigeharu's inquiry about Asami, starts cackling like a madman. And here's the kicker. It's revealed that he's the one who burned Asami as a young girl at his studio. And as if that's not enough, the old man asks Shigeharu to go home and even shows his chopped off legs, all thanks to Asami. But does Shigeharu listen? Of course not, because he is on a mission. So he moves on to the bar where Asami used to work, only to find out that it's been closed for a year because the owner was murdered. And not just any murder, oh no. The owner was the wife of a record producer and was found in several pieces. When the police tried putting her back together, they found 3 extra fingers, an extra ear, and an extra tongue. Meanwhile, Asami slinks into Shigeharu's abode like a sneaky little cat burglar. And what does she find but a lovely family photo featuring Shigeharu's dearly departed wife? Naturally, Asami is feeling quite vindictive, so she slips a little sedative into Shigeharu's drink. Fast forward to Shigeharu, who comes home, pours himself a drink, and promptly collapses on the floor. Flashback time, Asami shares her troubled past with Shigeharu, full of abuse and trauma, but there's more. Shigeharu himself is caught up in a steamy affair with his secretary. However, her hero soon loses interest and casts her aside. Back to the present, Shigeharu finds himself in Asami's apartment, living out his wildest nightmares, but when Asami tries to seduce him, Shigeharu denies her advances and she transforms into his secretary. How convenient. As Shigeharu tries to make a break for it, he stumbles upon a large sack and out crawls a man, missing various body parts and begging for food. And what does Asami do? She pukes into a dog bowl and sets it down in front of the man. Finally, we arrive back at Shigeharu's home where Asami makes a grand entrance, just in time to reveal that she's the one who killed Shigeharu's beloved pet. So Asami has got some serious anger issues right here and is about to show Shigeharu just how much she cares for him by sticking some needles in his abdomen. And as if that weren't enough, she's also decided to teach him the meaning of needing someone by slicing off his foot with a wire saw. But it gets even better. Just as she's about to make Shigeharu a 2-footer, Shigehiko walks in and all hell breaks loose. Asami goes into hiding like a true horror movie villain, and Shigeharu has a lovely little dream about their happy times together. But we're not done with the nightmares just yet. Asami's back and ready to attack, and she's got her sights set on Shigehiko. But her hero right here is ready for her, and with some quick moves, he sends her tumbling down the stairs to his eventual death. Whew. Shigehiko wastes no time and makes a frantic call to the police, practically begging them to hurry. As Shigeharu writhes in pain in the ground, he is confronted by the ghost of his past, Asami. With a hauntingly cold voice, she shares her tale of woe about how she's always been a lonely soul with no one to talk to. But then she met Shigeharu and finally found someone who she thought understood and accepted her for who she was. Shigeharu is consumed by a mix of sadness and regret as he recalls the words he spoke to Asami in his dream sequence about her abuse. It's tough to get over such traumatic experiences, but someday you'll find that life is a beautiful thing. And so ends the twisted and terrifying story of Audition. See you in the next hunt. Please subscribe because we're broke.